it's Reese, and I'm back with Nick, and he brought me some snakes today.
Alright, so this first one here, this is one of my favorite species. I've been working with these guys since I was probably 14. These two animals I picked up about 4 years ago. Might have been longer than that. It was the Mars Expo. Does anybody remember that? In Baltimore?
You said
it's like the last.
Repticon
Yeah, it's where they do Repticon
yeah.
now. It was like the last one. And I picked these guys up. Where are you going? And they're not so used to being social. But out in public. This girl here is a female Baird's rat snake. And this is what your rat snakes do when you bag them and unbag them multiple times in a day. They get upset with you. But I don't know, is the camera picking up the color? Baird's rat snakes have a very subtle color that a lot of people don't realize how beautiful they really are. Rat snakes in general are ugly ducklings. They don't have much color when they're babies. When they get older, they can be absolutely beautiful. So if you look at her, she's beautiful. She's silver, and then in between the scales, more so up towards her head, you get all the yellows and oranges that start to come out. And as you go down, she becomes more gray, and you get more of the reds and darker oranges coming out between the scales. So they're a really beautiful animal, but as babies, they're just a dull gray, and people tend to overlook them at the shows. That goes for really any rat snake species that I've worked with and vending shows, what I've noticed people do with them. Here, I'll let you handle her for a minute. This species is one of the smaller species of rat snake in North America. She musked. It's an awesome smell to get musked on. I don't know if you smell that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's rat snake musk. So that'll stick on you. You'll smell real good when you get home tonight.
That's why they invented showers. I'm good.
You know what? Sometimes you gotta wash your hands half a dozen times to get that off. So you might be scrubbing for a while. I hope you got some good soap. So rat snakes. These guys are one of the smaller types of rat snakes native to North America. They don't get real big. I keep my guys in a 4-foot vision cage with the sliding glass front doors. They absolutely love it. We put in climbing branches and stuff for them, a nice sized hide box, a water bowl. They're real active. They're an absolute blast to work with, and they calm down very easily. My guys have not been program animals. They've mostly been just exhibit animals, and they have, she had a fuzz on her mouth there, and I just picked that fuzz off of her lip. You can see how easygoing they really can be. But they are very active, and I've noticed a lot of people get turned off of rat snakes because of their high energy level and the fact they're moving around all the time. It makes people think that they're going to be a little more nasty, they might nip. That has absolutely nothing to do with it. Now this guy here, this is a more rarely seen coloration. You aren't going to see these guys very often. This is a hypo. Some people call them albino Baird's rat snakes. Now this guy, I think a great name for this morph would be the sunset. I mean, the yellows and oranges on that, some purpley colors and that silver. That's absolutely awesome. I just love these guys. I hope we can get that color to turn up in the video. It's really hard to get these guys to show up, their color to show up in photos or on video. So hopefully we can get that to turn out there for you. But he's absolutely gorgeous and puppy dog tame. They will get larger than this. The largest rat snakes Baird's rat snakes I have worked with were about 5, maybe 5.5 feet long. So these guys are still young. They're still growing.
How old are they?
I want to say they're about 4 or 5 years old. I should check the records. I take care of too many animals, so it's all written down somewhere, but sometimes I forget this stuff. They aren't very old though. They've bred for me twice. We produced a nice clutch last year. Got some hypos, got some hets, some really nice looking babies. They're turning out really, really well.
And you say hypo hets. Do you want to
Yes.
explain that a little bit?
So hypomelanism, if you look at these two snakes next to each other, you can tell he's much lighter in color. That's a reduction of the black and brown pigments in his skin, causing him to look that way. That's hypomelanism. Now, like I said before, some people think that this is an albino. If you look at his eyes when they're babies, I believe they had red pupils when they're babies, if I can remember correctly, and that's why they get that name. But he's got black pupils now. So that is not albinism, that's a reduction of dark pigments. And I know there's other guys out there that are going to disagree with that, and that's okay. Point is, it's a recessive mutation, so it passes like blue eyes or blonde hair. Real easy to trace. this coloration. So she is heterozygous, which means that she carries the gene. She doesn't exhibit the gene, she doesn't show or express the gene, but she will produce babies that will look like him, as well as babies that look like her. So in my breeding collection, I like working with hets because one of my favorite things is watching the different colors pop out of the eggs. Some of my projects have 3 and 4 recessive mutations, and I'll breed normal snakes together just because I'll get like 8 different babies, colored babies, coming out of one clutch of eggs. That's one of my absolute favorite things every single year to watch for. So we run these guys, and I think the hypo is just as pretty as the normal, so I get to enjoy both and only have to own 2 snakes, and then we make both colors in the process, and they make absolutely awesome little pets. You just got to get used to the activity level. If you let them go, they'll be all over you, up around your neck, up around your head,
Like
climbing all over the place. Yeah.
She was just chilling.
She likes to go. Usually, she is just hanging out now.
Looks like Loki, my ball python. They're like, yeah, they don't do much. They'll just sit there around your neck. No, he's all over the place.
Yeah, he's a goer.
He's a
you know,
goer.
ball pythons are about as diverse as they come. I've had some that are real active. I've had some that are real calm. It says they're real friendly. I've had a couple that were not. You know, they all got a personality. No 2 snakes are the same. They're all different. You got to get to know your animal. You got to put the time in and really get to understand your pets, and you'll enjoy them a lot more. There's no sense in huge collections of thousands of animals if you can't actually put your hands on and enjoy the individual animals.
So, talking about keeping them as pets, what kind of environment do these guys thrive in?
These guys are pretty simple. They come from the southern parts of, I'm trying to think here, how does this work on the map? Got my directions backwards. East, I believe it's East Texas. And so they like it kind of dry. You know, they don't, I wouldn't keep these guys in a marshy habitat. I keep my guys real simple. I give them aspen bedding, enough that they can kind of bury down if they want. I give them a nice hide box they can get into. I got climbing branches around. I give them a kitty litter pan for a water bowl. It's nice and big, and they actually spend a lot of time in there coiled up together, soaking. And then I use under tank heating as well as overhead lighting. Some of them will bask, sometimes they'll bask, but the under tank heating is great because when they're feeling kind of shy or they got a full belly, they can stay hidden and feel secure and get their heat at the same time. They don't have to come out and climb up to get warm, which is kind of a nice thing for your snakes. You know, snakes in the wild, you ever go on any of the field herping pages or whatnot, you see all the guys, they talk about going out and looking for board lines. If you go out and hunt for snakes, the first thing you want to do is look for tin laying on the ground. That's where you're going to find snakes. So we try to reproduce that in our enclosures, give them a nice, comfortable spot where they can hide and be warm at the same time.
And that's not to say go out and turn over boards and find yourself a pet. If you guys want one of these guys, definitely do your research and put the time and effort into making sure they got a good home and all that stuff.
That's right. There's really only a very few reasons to take an animal out of the wild. Anybody who's been doing this any length of time probably owns a wild-caught animal or 2. I am guilty of it. I do have some. But all those animals are put into breeding programs, produce captive bred animals so that it takes pressure off of the wild, while also allowing for us to study and enjoy these animals in captivity. They're not just simply stuck in a cage to be used as a pet and to never reproduce. That would be a constant toll on a wild population.
And not to mention the educational purposes working, you know, us working together now, we can definitely get all your wonderful animals out there and educate people. So.
Definitely. We've been doing travel and shows for a long time. We're not doing that anymore, so now I look forward to doing this online. It'll be great getting all these guys out there. And any of you who have seen me doing programs over the years, I've been doing reptile shows for kids in schools for about the last 15 years. If you see me doing that, watching these shows is going to be great because you're going to see animals that I've never taken out to do programs. This guy here, out of the hundreds and hundreds of programs I've done, he's been out like 4 or 5 times. So there might be 50 of you who have actually seen this animal. And that goes for a lot of animals. We got some really cool stuff too. We got some one-of-a-kind stuff that nobody's ever seen before. We've got some really amazing animals that I can't wait to get out there for people to see.
Yes, and I know when I talk to you and stuff, I'm just like, Nick, pick out like 3 things and just bring them, surprise me.
It's so hard. It took me 5 days. It took me 5 days to figure out, to break it down to 3 species, not 3 animals.
No, because we definitely have more than 3 animals in this room right now.
I think I brought 7 or 8 today. So yeah, the Baird's rat snake. These guys are really underappreciated. They used to be common. When I first got into reptiles, these guys were all over the place. Now you don't see them very often. We need to change that. This is an awesome species. They need to be worked with. They should be worked with. They should be enjoyed. There is so much more out there, here she comes, than what meets the eye. Before you go out and get your first pet, or if you're looking for another pet, don't stick with the same thing over and over again. Broaden your horizons, check out new species. The more you check out, the more you like. I used to keep hundreds of the same thing, and now I've broken down. I still have my specialties, but I keep a lot of pairs because I just enjoy the variety and the different types of animals that are out there. And that's really what it's all about. Let's take it back to just having fun and enjoying the animals for what they are.
So I know we've covered a lot about these guys, but how about the breeding aspect? Say you get yourself a pair, and you decide you want to start breeding like you do because you want to see what kind of cool things you can do.
Yeah, breeding these guys is fairly simple. Most colubrid snakes, so king snakes, corn snakes, rat snakes, things of that nature, are fairly simple. You just cool them down for a couple of months. My routine is I actually drop my guys down between 50 and 55. They'll stay there for 2 to 3 months. Through the winter we do it just because it works with our weather cycle here. There's people, if you live in Florida, you can't really do that. I know people that use wine coolers and whatnot. You got to make sure you're getting enough oxygen to your animals though before you do that. Make sure you do the proper research on how to do it correctly. We cool them down for a few months, and then after that we bring them out. We feed them nice and heavy because they're hungry, going a few months without eating anything. Then usually a few weeks after that, we start putting them together. Once we're satisfied with the female's body condition, we're satisfied with the male's body condition, because they'll get a little worked up over the girls sometimes, get a little thin. So we want to make sure the boys are in good condition as well. We'll put them together and hopefully they'll start breeding. Usually they start breeding fairly quickly. You got about 6 to 8 weeks, you're going to get a clutch of eggs, and another 6 or so weeks in the incubator, and you got a bunch of babies. It's pretty simple.
How many eggs are usually in the clutch?
That depends. Some of the big ones I've worked with over the years, we get 15, 16, 17 eggs. Last year, this girl only dropped me 6. So it really depends. The older, the more mature your female, and the better condition she's in, the bigger the clutch she's going to lay. Younger females are going to lay smaller clutches. That's just the way it is. They don't have the body mass to carry the larger clutches of eggs. So these guys are fairly simple. I'm actually playing with something new this year. I've gone back and forth on cooling my animals down, and sometimes I don't, just because I don't feel like it. I don't like putting them away for 3 months. I miss my pets. So this year we didn't cool these guys down. We left them out, and we are going to go ahead and see how they breed. Coming from way down in the south, sure they get cold down there, but they aren't going to get as cold as they do here in Maryland, or actually right now we're in Pennsylvania. I live right on the other side of the line. So animals from this area are going to have to cool down. We get down below freezing for a long period of time. These guys here, where they're from, it doesn't get that cold. So I think we'll have a significant chance of having good luck without cooling them down. I want to see how it goes. If we don't have to cool them down, it means that they can eat throughout the year, put on a little more weight, maybe a little more size, make them, it's more investment, but maybe we produce a few extra babies from them. We'll see how it goes. For me, it's one rule I've always learned: the better you care for your animals, the better they care for you. If you take care of your animals to the absolute best, they're going to produce more offspring, which in turn covers the feed bill if that's what you're looking to do. So that's the routine we work. The better care we can give our animals, the better. So we're always changing it up, trying out new things, seeing what we can do to improve their condition in the long term. So if I get a hunch and I want to try it out, chances are I'm going to give it a shot and see what happens.
And I know we talk about breeding a lot in our videos, and this isn't like pro-breeding PSA, this is just general knowledge. You guys shouldn't go out and randomly buy 2 snakes and throw them together and hope for eggs.
That's a really good point. Breeding stock, if you go into any other business, you look at breeding horses, you look at breeding dogs, not every animal is bred. In fact, the vast majority of animals are not even considered to be breeding quality or up to par to be a breeding animal. With reptiles, it's different. People think that everything needs to reproduce. I'm sorry to tell you, no, not everything needs to reproduce. If you're going to buy an animal, you need to buy an animal for the purpose of a pet or as a breeder. Some breeders will tell you this is a pet quality animal or this is a breeder quality animal. If you came to me and asked me for a breeder quality animal, I would look for the absolute best of my stock to provide for you, because I want to know not only are you getting the best animal to breed, but down the line you're going to say, I got this amazing animal from him and we're reproducing it and it's this great animal. So it produces a better reputation for myself as well by taking better care of you, the customer. So, you know, we don't need to breed everything. In fact, I have lots of animals I don't breed. I got a black throat monitor, I've got some retics, and they're just pets. I just enjoy them. Not everything needs to be bred. It is, however, a huge part of this hobby is breeding our animals and producing eggs and hatching them, and that's a huge part of the hobby. So keep that in mind. When you do want to get something that you want to reproduce, make sure it's not something that's going to be flooding the market. Make sure it's something you're actually going to be able to find solid homes for, and something that sells for a decent price, because that price tells you how common it is. If it's short, you know, real low number there, then you're probably not going to have an easy time finding homes for them, because there's one for sale on every corner. It's a little higher end, a little better luck.